In Asia Pacific Missions, we are committed to creating a team culture to help you adjust to a new country, pace of life, language, and environment. Each of these episodes are designed to introduce you to the AP Reach team culture. Together, we are reaching the never reached.
So when we say team members growth, what do we mean by that?
I think when I think about team members growth, I think about like with all of the things we've talked about earlier, such as adaptation, life rhythms, and relationships. These are good, these are good like team cultures and values to have. But what pushes it, what pushes it further and makes this more powerful is actually growing together.
So I think that's great that within our teams we have these opportunities to grow, intentional times, because sometimes people connect and it happens really easily. But as we're part of these reach teams, not everybody's going to naturally connect, and so we have these meetings, these prayer times together that's going to help people come in and get plugged into this community, the spiritual community, accountability, and to begin to grow together.
Yeah, and I think it's not like it covers a lot of areas too, like being committed to team members growth. It's like spiritual, physical, relational, professional. Like we're committed to seeing you grow and thrive on the field.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that happens very intentionally, like you said, Mike, of, maybe we have a regular time where people are sharing development things, of like, this is how you become a better minister. This is how you get better at the culture here. But I think it also happens indirectly as people grow and you're just around them, and you notice what God is doing in their life, and you see how they change, and you see how, how they're growing, and it challenges you, and it almost keeps you accountable that they're growing. I want to grow too, that you're not staying where you are, but you are growing as followers of Jesus, as ministers, or just as people, that they're growing. I see that. I want that in my life too.
Yeah. One thing that I can think about is that like in those moments where you're catching up with someone, it's not just catching up for the sake of catching up, but you're very intentional. You have I think everyone in the team can say that like we want to see each other. Yeah. We want to see everyone in the team grow. Yeah. So
I think it also comes from, we talked about relationships, of accountability doesn't always look like somebody asking me a question. Accountability looks like putting my life before someone and saying, what do you see? What do you see in my life that I need to grow in? What do you see in my life that is a struggle or an area of growth?
When you're not in a team, some of this happens naturally in our lives, but it doesn't always happen naturally, especially when we talked about how our teams are formed of so many different kinds of people, backgrounds, ages. And so as we build these opportunities for growth to happen, to grow together and also plug into the spiritual things, to pray together, I think it's really helpful to help new people come in, old people continue to grow, and to not kind of plateau through year 1, 2, 3, however long, that you don't ever reach a plateau, because we're always growing and praying together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too the importance of thinking holistically, that we are not just ministers, we're people who have emotions, we have spiritual growth, we have character growth, we have professional growth. And that being committed to growth doesn't just mean I'm committed to you being a better minister. Yeah. I'm committed to you being more emotionally healthy. I'm committed to you having a closer relationship with God.
Yeah. So what this looks like practically to be invested in your team members' lives is weekly meetings, right? Like weekly prayer times together, weekly staff meetings, weekly check-ins, like getting coffee or lunch together with team members or your team leader to check in and ask those hard questions, ask those good questions, how you're doing, and accountability. I think that's kind of practically how it looks like in our day-to-day.
For teams that do a lot of events or they have a lot of things going on, debriefing times are great because doing ministry can be very tiring and it can be very emotionally taxing. And so looking at the end of a season that's really busy or an event and saying, hey, how are you doing? Like, how was that for us as a team? And what can we do better? Not just for this ministry to be more effective, but also like, how can we do this better so that we are healthy in doing this ministry?
Something else too that I think is important is also celebrating each other's personal wins, and also just affirming people in front of other people. Just pulling out the great things in each other and lifting them up and saying like, like JV does this so great. Vanessa, I'm so thankful she's on our team because she's, X, Y, and Z.
And I think a lot of this, it just kind of comes out as we serve together, which is like, there's meetings. I think there's value in meeting for coffee. There's value in weekly meetings, prayer meetings and things. But a lot of it's just as we serve together, like we build each other up. We sharpen each other. We ask each other questions. We talk and we get to connect in ways that maybe don't come out in more formal ways, in formal meetings. But as we serve, we really help each other and connect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think encouragement comes too of sometimes you're not doing so hot. And then you have a teammate to encourage you, not just with their words, but to come alongside and help you. Sometimes there is something that you're working through and you're struggling through, and maybe they have had that experience too, and they can walk with you and encourage you and advise you.
I mean, especially when you're on a team, you're going to be going through transitions. Like when I arrived here, I was engaged, but arrived here by myself, just graduated college, ended up getting married, now having kids. I think being a part of a team has really helped to grow and become a good husband, better dad, and having great team leaders, having other people to learn from. Like you said, it helps just become a better person and not just a minister. And so I think it's really important.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find more resources about AP Reach Teams at asiapacificmissions.org. Together, we can reach the never reached.